Hello, hope you are doing well. Today I am going to take up a session on creative writing. This is part of your course. This is from NCERT's English textbook for class 11, Hornbill, lesson 6. We had taken a session earlier also. Let us recapitulate what we did in session 1. In our previous session, we had discussed what creative writing is all about. It is an art like painting, music, dance, sculpture, a form of self-expression. It is an activity that combines a basic desire to create something, a keen awareness of the world around that includes nature, people and society. It also involves a rich imagination, an ability to use words meaningfully and skillfully. It also requires a fairly good amount of knowledge and information. That means you should read a lot and a keen sense of observation. This is what we had discussed in our first session. Today we will discuss about forms of creativity. As a creative writer, you articulate your intense experience. Intense experience here means the experience that leaves an impression on you and response in the appropriate form. It can be a story, a poem or an article or a report. Images take hold of you, and when you recollect these experiences or emotions, and if you allow the free flow of all these images, emotions and experiences, they often choose their own form. How do they choose their own form? That means it can be a poem, it can be a story. I leave it to you. The flow is for you to decide. Creativity is not something artificially propelled. It is a flow that cannot be reined in. Nelson Mandela in his address said, "Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another." And in his autobiography, he has reordered the intense experience of his life. An extract is given below, and you see he has observed these things around him. He felt strongly for freedom, and let us see what he has written, how he has expressed. Long walk to freedom. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. At first as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. The transitory freedom of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, go where I chose. Later as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedom of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. Nelson Mandela. How beautifully he has expressed the idea of freedom. He chose this form as his form of expression. You can choose any. So, when we speak of the forms of creativity, it is important to remember that creative individuals exist in each and every field of human activity, from the most humble to the most exalted. The form this creativity takes depends on the field of activity they are pursuing. You can appreciate that. A painter will pursue his form of art or her form of art, a dancer her form of art, depending on the form. The flowering of their creativity into greatness, however, depends on what kind of training they are able to acquire and how developed their field of activity happens to be at the particular time and age. But here we are talking about creativity through language. This particular chapter is on creative writing. So, now I am going to talk about creativity through language. Language is one of the basic tools for creative expression. It gives people more ways and means to express themselves. Language skills are therefore essential for communication and self-expression. I hope you agree with me on this. There are no two ways about it. When I say language skills, listening, speaking, reading, writing, they all have to be fully developed, then only you will be able to write. Now you must be wondering, we are talking about creative writing. What is the role of listening over here? You see, listening and reading are input activities, input skills. When you listen to people, when you read, you get ideas. You develop language, and our output is through speaking and writing. Communication, effective speaking, effective writing. Therefore, effective listening and effective reading are the precursor to reading and writing. Remember this. So, we were talking about self-expression. Just as a sculptor works on a stone, or a painter works with colors, and a magician manipulates the bits of sound, a writer works in a language. The language she or he is born into or is intimate with, he or she creates in the language by bringing about absolutely new or unknown combinations and permutations of words. As I have been telling you that words have a power to convey your ideas. What makes a great poem? Use of words. What makes a prose piece very powerful? Use of appropriate words at appropriate places. So, therefore, you have to play with words. You have used a particular word, you may change it, replace it with another word. You will see the meaning has changed. It has enhanced the expression. So, you have to enhance your vocabulary. And how will you enhance your vocabulary? By reading books, by reading materials, newspaper, magazines, everything. Language is both the medium and the material for the writer. Remember this, medium and the material. Exploring language for its maximum effect brings out creativity, and this involves a fusion of words, gestures, tones, sounds and shapes. Creative language also includes figures of speech, metaphors, similes, homonyms, alliterations, etc. In the following stanza, the poet has used the word red to convey different meanings. I am going to read the poem for you. Please listen to it very carefully and then we will discuss. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. This poem is written by Robert Burns. Here in this poem, the poet is using two similes to describe his love. Red, red rose and a melody. We all know that love can neither be seen nor heard. It is an emotion that is felt, but by associating a rich color and a sweet sound with love, the poet Robert Burns is not only being original and expanding the meaning of love, but also bringing the emotion much closer to the reader. You can also feel it, you can sense it. Though love is an emotion, but he has touched upon our senses, sense of listening, seeing, so that makes it more enjoyable. The repetition of the word red is extremely unusual and effective in these lines. A good writer is one who has clarity of thought and expression. Whatever you may be writing, whether it is creative piece or you are writing any answer to a question, it should be clear and you should be able to express this well. Let us suppose we want to write about a place that you may have visited. Visual specifics help us in writing. So, you must describe the place, about the grandeur of the place. We get these visual specifics by training our eyes. We have to be very observant, not just to see, but to look into the core of every object in the place. We have to observe and note down. When we describe the place with specifics, we present verbal photography. What is it known as? Verbal photography. We call it vivid image. The poet or the writer has been able to describe it vividly. Minute details have also been described beautifully. Let's look at this passage. The following passage makes the visual image of Amarkantak come alive. And thus flows the Narmada. The writer has described the river. At Amarkantak, I find a pastoral world of superlative beauty. The colors as unreal as tinted postcards, wide golden meadows, parted by the narrow blue stream of the holy river are framed by deep shadowed sal forests. The red laterite soil of the road contrasts with many shades of green. How beautifully the writer has described red and green. A small bridge, little more than a culvert, spans the Narmada. She is here a little stream, barely 6 feet wide, sparkling like blue and tumbling gently westwards, a river in her infancy. It seems impossible that the water she will discharge into the sea equals the combined volume of 3 great northern rivers, the Ravi, the Beas and the Satluj. This beautiful piece has been written by Ruina Grewal. So, how in prose she has described the beauty of Narmada. Similarly, when we write about a song or a musical concert, we must not hear the music, but listen to it and express in words its rich and soothing impact on us. They have an impact on us. Sometimes they soothe us, sometimes they enrich us. For example, in Wordsworth's poem, The Solitary Reaper, all of you must have read this poem, a very popular poem. The poet listens to a song that is sad and plaintive and wonders whether the girl was singing about unhappy, far off things like battles long ago, or it was a song about some natural sorrow, loss or pain. This is a good example of auditory specifics, though sight and sound are the 2 basic senses that give us the specifics. But there are also the other senses like smell, touch and taste that can assist us in embellishing our description. I am going to read one stanza from the poem The Solitary Reaper. Please listen to it and enjoy. What you gather, you please note down. The Solitary Reaper. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. See, so beautifully it has been expressed. To be a creative writer, one has to be sensitive to people. That's another important thing. Please remember, It's not only the nature, we should empathize with people, the environment and society and its issues. To achieve this, one also has to be a good reader. A good reader reflects on and analyzes the work of others, and this is where one's journey as a creative writer begins. You really have to be a good reader to be able to become a good writer. Remember this. A creative writer is one who also observes, reflects, imagines and develops the skill of using the right word at the right place. Now let us talk about creative expression in writing. Let us talk about literary writing. What do we understand by literary writing? I am giving you 30 seconds to write. What do you understand by literary writing? Have you done it? Shall I share mine with you? Shall we discuss? Okay. Literary writing is an expression of life through the medium of language, which is aesthetically pleasing. It is a vital record of what writers have seen, experienced, thought and felt. Okay? They have seen, they have experienced, they have thought about it, that means they have internalized it, and they have felt, they have empathized. In literary writing, imagination plays the most important and defining role when accompanied with deep realization of life's experiences and embellished with creative and artistic features. Literary writing is carefully structured. Yes, structure is important, and words are used for their flow, sound, emotive and descriptive qualities. Remember, words are used for flow. They bring about rhythm, sound, that effect, emotive, they describe emotions, and descriptive qualities. You can describe a scene, you can describe your emotions, right? Have you made a note of all these things? I know you must have. Literary writers also use rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, irony, dialogue and a number of other devices while writing a particular prose piece, poem or play. A literary writer may express her or his ideas, thoughts, reminiscences and themes in any form. Let's read the following dialogue from Molière's play and find out what he says about prose. We have to now understand what is the difference between prose, poetry and other forms of writing. The Bourgeoisie Gentleman, Act 2, Scene 4, Philosophy Master. What he says: to make the point most terse, what isn't verse is prose, and what is not prose is verse. Monsieur Jordan says, and this, the way I speak, what name would be applied to the? Then Philosophy Master says, the way you speak. Monsieur Jordan says, yes, answer this question. Philosophy Master tells him, this is prose. Then Monsieur Jordan asks, is it prose? Philosophy Master says, decidedly. Once again Jordan asks, oh really? So when I say, Nicole, bring me my slippers and fetch my nightcap, is that prose? So Philosophy Master tells him, most clearly this is prose. Next question by Jordan is, well, what do you know about that? These 40 years now I have been speaking in prose without knowing. How grateful am I to you for teaching me that, so that I wish to tell the gentle lady is, fair Marquise, your lovely eyes make me die of love, but in a way that's elegant and nicely turned. So, what we have gathered from this dialogue? What were they discussing? Prose is everyday thoughts or speech put on paper and contextualized in a formal structure. Literary prose is seen as a combination of formal writing and imagination. It can be story also, it can be fantasy also. It includes essays, novels, short stories, plays and some literary honors such as biography, autobiography, memoirs, anecdotes and literary journalism. While prose lends itself to logical and analytical discourse. When one experiences a strong emotion, he or she may write a lyrical poem. When one seeks to celebrate an event or a person, one may resort to the ode. As a creative writer, you may express yourself in any way depending on your theme and your special talent for poetry or prose. Now, in the following extract, Walt Whitman has expressed his idea in the form of a poem which is very close to prose. You must have heard about Song of Myself. I am going to read an excerpt from this. Pay attention. A child said, "What is the grass?" Fetching it to me with full hands, how could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition out of hopeful green stuff woven. That's by Walt Whitman. It looks like prose. Verse, on the other hand, is a metrical arrangement of words. Okay. Today it is largely used in poetry, writing jingles and slogans. The following nursery rhyme is written in verse. I will read the nursery rhyme for you. Enjoy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when he nothing shines upon, then you show your little light, twinkle, twinkle all the night. Then the traveller in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. So, what have you understood? Importance of words, importance of observation, imagination, reading, all these things help us write a creative piece. Why don't you make a notebook? Start making notes. Whatever you observe, make notes and then write a creative piece. I leave it to you. You can choose any style, any form and try writing a creative piece. You can share it with us. We would love to read it. With this, we have come to the end of this session. Thank you.